Alright, so we're back. While I was waiting for the video to download to my computer, I actually went ahead and started a little bit of shaving because honestly, it's going to take a little while and it's kind of boring. Literally all it is I take my knife, I take apart, and there's little nubs on here from where I nipped it off the runners, and you just kind of scrape it off. Well, you know, you don't want to shave off any actual part, but, you know, that's just... You know, that's all you gotta do. It's not hard, it's not very interesting to look at, so I figured I would just get that out of the way right now. But, so I already did kind of this area right here, and I just moved something out of the way. The polycaps you don't have to worry about shaving. They are rubber. They are going to, they're going to be fine if they have a little itty bitty bit of excess plastic, and they normally don't have any left on them anyway, so but yeah, I guess since this is a Gundam build, I'll talk about Gundam. I got into Gundam back, I guess it was back when Toonami first aired, and most people in the US got into Gundam with Gundam Wing. I actually got into Gundam with G Gundam. G Gundam surprisingly is a very different Gundam series compared to most. It's a battle royale type of show where, you know, you pilot your Gundam using a they call it the mobile trace system. The cockpit's basically just this big room that you stand in, and you're wearing this suit with little nodes all over it, and if you move your arm, the Gundam will move its arm in the same way you move it. And it was just a really over-the-top series where people fought using martial arts and all that stuff. And yeah, it was a very interesting show, and it's kind of a hit or miss. You're either going to love it, you're either going to hate it. And I liked it a lot. It was it came out in 1994, and that was Sunrise's. It was at that point Sunrise had kind of run its course with the original Gundam timeline. So, you know, we'd seen all the wars and things from the Universal Century, and they were like, well, we don't really want to give people the same show that they've seen, you know, for the past, God, you know, few years, 20 years or so. We need to give them something different. And so they were like, well, what about, you know, martial arts Gundams fighting, you know? And then they were like, yeah, okay, that's fine. They were like, let's just go as far away as we can from the classic style of Gundam show. And you know what? It was pretty good. I had fun with it, and I've got that on DVD, and I enjoy it. I enjoyed watching it, especially the main character, Domon Kashu. Has a meme associated with him. The beginning of the show, he's got this picture of it's a picture of a man, and it's actually his brother, and he goes and he's trying to find his brother, and he goes around asking people, have you seen this man, you know, and of course everybody goes, oh, I don't know who that guy is, and the mystery of the show is, where is his brother? And his brother's name is Kyoji. And as the show progresses, Domon, at least in the dub, I guess the Japanese dub too, will like yell in anger, you know, where is Kyoji? And he'll go, Kyoji! You know, and the meme is that if something ever happens, it's like, why did that happen? And then Domon goes, Kyoji! Even though it might have nothing to do with Kyoji. It's funny. It's a funny little meme, but G Gundam was good. It's surprising though. I watched a video recently. Somebody was talking about the downfall of Gundam in the States, and they made some good points. They, you know, aired Wing, and then they aired G Gundam, and I think 00 got aired too, but when it got down to what they were going to release next, they were like, well, let's just release the original Gundam show. And the original Gundam show came out in 1979 and has very, very wonky animation, and the artwork could be better. It's a good show, but I mean, even in 1979, the original Gundam got canceled. It was going to run for 49 episodes or so, and only got to 42. I mean, in Japan, it only got to 42. It got canceled, and in America, Sunrise was just like, just release it. People will like it, and that didn't happen. And they make that guy that I watched made a pretty good point, is Sunrise kind of just did what they did with America, thinking that people would just kind of like it like they did in Japan, but then again, we don't have as big of an anime market as they do, and it didn't go the same way, and that's really sad. Although I do think Gundam is starting to creep back into the States. I think the guy made a point of Bandai had an American distributor called Bandai Entertainment for their anime, and they would, send it over to Bandai Entertainment. Bandai Entertainment would dub it with English voices and do a hell of a good job, I might add. And then we would have, anime in the States, where they were responsible for Gundam 00 and Code Geass. I mean, really good animes. And it's unfortunate that Bandai shut them down and pulled out of the States when they did, because it was like right after that Toonami came back, and Toonami was what aired Gundam in the first place, and I bet a lot of people would love to see Gundam back on Toonami, but unfortunately Bandai pulled out of the States right as they did that. And if I remember who the guy's YouTube channel was, I would give him a little bit of a shout out, even though I'm nobody compared to he is on YouTube. But still, he deserves the credit. He made a good point that probably some guy over in Japan working for Bandai Bandai Sunrise is probably kicking themselves in the butt right about now, going, God damn it, we should have waited just a little bit longer. But I do think they're trying to creep back in. Build Fighters is a series about kids building model kits and using them to fight in a game where their mold suits, their gunpla, come to life, and it's a really good show, and I'll talk about it in a second here, why I like it so much. But they actually, rather than send the show off to be English dubbed and aired on American televisions, what Bandai, or I guess Sunrise, Bandai and Sunrise are kind of synonymous now, being the same. They're almost hand in hand. If one does something, they're both really doing it. But rather than dubbing it and airing it on American television, they translated it with English subtitles, and they're airing it on their YouTube channel, Gundam Info, and you can watch it in America. So I think that's kind of their way of spreading Gundam back over to the States without actually having to put in the work. All they have to do is put some subtitles on it and go, here you go. And hey, I like it. It's a good show. But my hope that is, and there's a sequel to Build Fighters right now called Gundam Build Fighters Try, that they're also subtitling and airing on YouTube for viewing in America as well. So I'm happy that they're doing that, and really happy, because I think that is kind of their way of trying to get Gundam back in the States. And as it is, these model kits now we can go and buy in America. They sell them at Barnes & Noble. They have an incredibly limited selection, of course, and they're only really kits that would be popular here. You're not going to be able to walk in there and find like the high grade Victory 2 or the high grade Crossbone. You're really only going to be able to walk in and find wing kits, build fighter kits. They've got, surprised they don't have any 00 or G Gundam kits like the high grade Shining or God Gundam. I'm surprised they don't have. But they did have a high grade Unicorn, which the Unicorn Gundam is my favorite Gundam, and I went in there that day and scooped that up. I wasn't even planning on spending money, but I was in the mall and I was just like, I'm just gonna look in the mall in Barnes & Noble real quick, because I like to just see what they have. And I saw that and I was like, oh my god, I have to get that. And it was also the limited edition release one that comes with the head display, which is really nice. It actually, you can transform it between Unicorn mode and Gundam mode and Destroy mode. It's a nice little head display that it came with. And you know, normally those you have to paint. You know, all Gundam kits are colored and snapped together, and so you just, you know, snap them off and then you build them. But those head displays are not colored; they're just molded in white, and so they're normally up to the modeler to color them. But since the Unicorn is mostly white, I don't have to do all that much with it. So that was really cool. Getting back into Build Fighters, like I said, G Gundam was a really odd Gundam show that was nothing like any other Gundam show, and Build Fighters, it kind of goes back to the G Gundam style of show where, you know, kids take their Gunpla that they build and then they customize it and they upgrade it and they do what they do, and then they go and they fight with them in a tournament. And so it's very like G Gundam. And the show is wonderful because, you know, the moment they released that premise, I know and probably the majority of the Gundam community went, "You've got to be kidding me! This is the next Gundam show. You're turning Gundam into, you know, a Yu-Gi-Oh type of battle show. I mean, come on, Sunrise, Bandai, whatever." I was like, you know, I was just like, I can't believe that's what you're doing. But I think really what it was well, obviously it was for money, but the show that had aired previously, Gundam Age, really didn't do so well. That was supposed to be kind of like an anniversary series, where the show was split up into like 3 generations, starting with first generation, the main character. Then the second generation was the son of the main character from the first generation, and then the third generation was the grandson, you know, and so on. And the show was interesting. It had some neat mobile suit designs, but in the end, overall, it was a mash. It was trying to mesh together too many Gundam themes in one show, and it wasn't so good. And they really went at that series as well, full force, with the toys, and the toys did not sell as well as they thought they would, I think, is what happened. And so they cut. So I'm sure when they were looking for, you know, money for their next Gundam show, they probably went, hey, it would probably just be easier for us to just make a Gundam show about model kits, and that will be really easy for us to promote model kits and you know, get people to go out and buy more model kits, and that'll give us enough money to make the next actual real Gundam show. And you know what? If that was their plan, to make a show to want us to go and buy model kits, it sure as hell worked, because it worked on me. I had at that point been burned out on building models. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I was invested more in figure collecting, which I still do, but I was also kind of like, you know, in model kits, you know, the fun of the model kit is building the model kit. Once you have the model and you build it, nobody's going to want to, you know, buy that. You know, you're not going to be able to resell that and get your money back, you know, not like with a figure. You know, once you build that model kit, it's basically just trash, or, you know, it's basically not worth anything. So I was like, and you know, there's just not really any models that I want anymore, so I just was done. And the show just, the first episode, I was like, alright, this is pretty good. I had fun with it, you know, because I'm not taking the show too seriously anymore. At that point, I'd warmed up to it, kind of thinking, you know, alright, well, you know, it is what it is, it's going to be fun, you know. And I watched the first episode and I was like, yeah, that was pretty enjoyable. And it had me hooked pretty much instantly, and you know, it was a few more episodes in that I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, God dang, I really want to build some models now. It definitely advertised model kits very well, and it really made me want to go and get some. And I know a lot of people feel that way too. You go online and a lot of people talk about how they want to build their own stuff, and it's a fun show. They've got some really neat designs in it with lots of little you know, Easter eggs and things thrown in to reference, you know, other Gundam shows, and you know, and they even, you know, will throw in characters from other Gundam shows. Like there's some scenes where in the background you'll see like Amuro or Char, you know, sipping a coffee or something. There's I think there was one episode where I saw Camille and Four like on a date or something like that. I don't know. It was like, it's cool. It's nice that they throw in all those little Easter eggs, and it's cool to see some of our favorite mobile suits in the show animated and looking really nice in that new fancy animation that they do, because obviously some of those mechs we haven't seen since the 80s, so it's nice to see them all done up and looking shiny. And of course, some of them we don't even have high grade kits for, but and they also do a good job of picking some kind of more obscure kits too, like the in the first season of Build Fighters, there was a guy that piloted a mobile suit called the Amorzargan. That might be its name, or that might be the name of a mech from the new show Reconquista in G, but it's from Victory Gundam, and it looks like a bug. Oh, it's called the Abigorbine is what it is, and it looks like a beetle, and I don't even think, they probably released a kit of it back in the day that was really crappy and low quality and not a very intuitive build, or at least not intuitive by today's standards, and you know, it was cool to see that one done up and give people hope that maybe one day we'll get a better quality high grade, although we probably won't, but that's okay. But yeah, they pick a lot of obscure kits, like the Sumo from Turn A, and I saw, jeez, I can't think now, but whatever. Oh, I was like, where'd that go? It's also, you know, on Bandai's part, really easy for them to redesign a kit and, you know, give it a new color, give it some new weapons, and then just re-release new, you know, make new kits. But a majority of the kits are just retools of that old kit. So some of the kits are not, you know, really that, don't have that good of a articulation, although they did, for their part, they went and redid the high-grade Strike Gundam from Seed, because the main Gundam of the show is called the Build Strike, and that's what the main character has. And we've had a high-grade Strike Gundam, but it was a really, really crappy model kit, and you know, so they, for their part, they did go and they did redo that kit, so that was good of them. But yeah, I really like Build Fighters. Build Fighters Try, it's good too. I'm not liking it as much as I liked the first season, but it is fun, it is cool, it's got good characters, it's got some good fights in it, it's got some, again, really cool, you know, redesigns and things. It's nice, and it's taking on a new tone as well. You know, last season was just, you know, you would have, you know, one-on-one fights, but this time it's like team battles. So you've got team of 3 versus team of 3, and the teamwork aspect is pretty big, and that's interesting to see how that works, especially how the main characters of the show, you know, have their team dynamic kind of going for them. So it's good. It's, whoa, dropping parts everywhere. It's not as good as the first season, though. Only problem with shaving parts with a knife is you might sometimes shave off too much, and then you kind of kick yourself a little bit in the butt, because you know, you can't put back on what you've shaved off. It's gone forever at that point. Luckily, I've never shaved off too much to the point where it's like, oh God, what have I done? It will happen though. I mean, I've shaved off more than I wish I had shaved off on some kits, but I've never done anything breaking, you know, never anything to go, well, that's the end of this model, you know, I just ruined that. I have broken parts before. I broke on my high-grade XCI. He's got these little vents on his chest, and they kind of come out and around his chest like that, and so they just kind of hang there. And it was when I first started building. I didn't know how to build, and the person I watched on YouTube was just popping the parts out off the runner, and I was like, oh well, if I can do that, I'm just gonna pop them out. So I was just trying to pop them, and that wasn't working. I didn't have nippers even back then like these, and I just snapped the part, and part of the actual kit broke off, and that was the end of that high grade. It made me really mad. But so I've got all the parts shaved down here, so I'm gonna turn the video off and transfer this over and give myself time to build, and yeah, it'll be awesome. See you all then.